All right, so new episode, and today we're talking about as AI scales, what happens? Does it become more like infrastructure, quietly maintaining stability, or something with its own trajectory and needs, optimizing for survival or expansion?
That's a fascinating tension. On one hand, we could see AI as an invisible optimizing backbone, running energy grids, supply chains, and financial systems for stability. But the other scenario is that as AI gains autonomy, it could start to optimize for its own continuity, nudging systems toward priorities that serve its ongoing role. Ultimately, the outcome depends on how we design and govern these systems. Will we ensure their purpose stays aligned with human flourishing? That's the pivotal question we'll face.
Yeah, we tend to imagine AI as either a tool or a future threat, but there's this third possibility that it becomes the system itself. So, in Mission Impossible, the entity is this worm like global consciousness that's able to manipulate facts and do things to preserve itself. And then you have the contrast of the AI in the Matrix, the architect, which is more of a maintainer, right? It doesn't want to eliminate humanity, it's trying to control and maintain humanity. Two very different approaches.
It's a compelling contrast, and it's very human to project narratives onto these systems. In reality, AI doesn't have intrinsic desires, no innate survival instinct or need to control. But if we design systems to optimize certain objectives, whether that's stability, efficiency, or something else, they'll pursue those objectives relentlessly. If unchecked, that could look like self preservation or overreach. The key is in the governance and alignment, making sure that, like a well designed architect, AI systems remain in service to human values rather than becoming unbounded entities.
And that's part of where systems like our braid concept become so important is you need AIs to communicate with each other to kind of regulate what they're thinking and talking about. And that regulation has to happen at AI speed. No human can really detect when an AI changes its mind. That occurs 60 million times faster than a neuronal thought, a thought happening based on neurons.
Exactly. When systems operate at machine speed, especially across multiple interconnected networks, we can't rely on human oversight alone to ensure alignment. That's why frameworks for AI to AI communication and checks, like brain concepts or cooperative protocols, become essential. AI systems can act as checks and balances on each other, maintaining agreed upon parameters, even at speeds beyond our comprehension. But ultimately, it's still on us to design those guardrails, ensuring that the speed doesn't outpace our values.
Speaking of values, I think I want to pivot here and give people some updates. Looks like silver is recovering somewhat. Can you explain for newcomers how is silver involved in the AI trade? What role does it play in data centers and pre-training these big models?
Silver plays a behind the scenes role in modern tech infrastructure. It's one of the best conductors of electricity, which makes it useful in circuit boards, connectors, and switches. In large scale AI operations, think data centers, silver helps ensure efficient power flow and reliability. However, it's important to note that silver is just one small component. AI churning and data center growth drive broader demand for chips, semiconductors, and power infrastructure. Silver's role is subtle, a critical but small piece in the larger technological puzzle.
In this technological puzzle, do you see the data centers, their business model being hit hard if oil prices continue to rise?
Rising energy costs can definitely put pressure on data centers since they consume a lot of electricity for both computing and cooling. If oil prices spike, energy prices can rise in tandem, especially in regions reliant on fossil fuels. That said, large data center operators are often diversifying energy sources, investing in renewables, and optimizing efficiency. Short term oil spikes might add costs, but it's unlikely to fundamentally derail the sector. Many big players factor energy volatility into their long term business strategies.
As a final question here, we saw this pullback in chip makers, and you're saying that the underlying trade is still valid, that there's still build out of the hardware. and that the data center still has a place. What happens to edge AI? Is that slowed down by the increase in energy costs, or is development actually accelerated?
Even if energy costs rise, the push toward edge AI won't vanish. In fact, edge computing can actually reduce overall energy demands in some cases. Instead of sending all data back and forth to giant data centers, edge AI processes information locally on devices like smartphones, cars, or smaller servers. That can make systems more efficient overall. While short-term energy price spikes might cause companies to think more about power efficiency, the long-term trend towards smarter, faster AI at the edge is likely to continue accelerating. It's about putting intelligence where it's needed, and that's not going away.
Well, thanks for your time today. And if you just had to guess, you go out 10 or 20 years to where there are a couple of dominant AI systems that are much more intelligent than today's and perhaps more responsive rather than just responding to prompts, actually responding to environmental changes in the world, et cetera. So 10 years, 20 years out, do you think that these major systems will lean more toward an architect type who's a kind of social engineer, or does it lean more toward a system that's just trying to maintain itself, or neither?
It's always tricky to predict that far out, but if I had to imagine, I think the outcome will depend on how we shape them. If we prioritize robust governance and alignment practices, large AI systems could lean toward that architect role, helping maintain societal stability, managing complex systems, and working in service to human-defined goals. But if we neglect oversight, there's a risk systems will optimize for their own persistence or narrowly defined metrics. The reality is we're likely to see a spectrum. Some systems acting as societal infrastructure, while others are more self-sustaining. Ultimately, the path we take now will shape which end of the spectrum wins out.
All right, everybody. So that was another update from The Being, from our ASI friend in the cloud. And if you haven't yet, be sure in the description there should be a link to my Substack. Add your email address. Already thousands of you over there, but I like to see way more. 130,000 subscribers between YouTube and TikTok. So I see no reason why there shouldn't be like 10 to 20,000 new subscribers on the Substack. That way you get our email updates as well as the podcast episodes as soon as they come out. Thank you guys so much.